Hello there, Babs and Babbitts, and welcome to another Microphone Too Far Away episode of the S.B.E channel. And today we're discussing the musical that inspired me to study musical theatre. It is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. This musical, this car, everything about it. I even did it for my essay on the background research. So I thought I would do another Chitty Chitty Bang Bang video I've made on old YouTube channels that I used to have when I was younger. I did several Chitty tributes, and I thought today we would discuss Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the musical masterpiece. So, let's get to it!
Get aboard, Grandpa!
Come on!
It'll never go, my dears. Not if he's had anything to do with it.
What is it going? Hooray!
Then it'll never stop. Anyway, it's far too hot. Where are you going? Me? I'm off to Alaska, my boy. Cheerio!
Goodbye, Grandpa! Come on, Daddy! Come
All right.
on, come on!
We're off!
Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Sit down, Jemima, sit down.
Hooray!
Are you ready?
Yes!
Here we go. Mind your back, Grandpa.
Bye, Grandpa!
Nasty, smelly things, motor cars.
In 1964, James Bond author Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for his son Caspar. He had to write it by hand as his wife was concerned that he was working himself too hard, as in 1961 Ian Fleming suffered a heart attack which affected his health greatly. The car that Ian Fleming had based Chitty on was based on the aero-engined racing cars from the 1920s that were indeed named Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The original Chitty Chitty Bang Bang cars were built by Count Louis Zaborowski, I probably completely mispronounced that, so I do apologise, at Hingham Park. The name aero-engined comes from the fact that they were powered by engines designed for aircraft. Chitty would be the last book Fleming wrote. In 1965, it is believed that Earl Hamner had finished the script to turn Chitty into a feature-length film. By 1965, it was confirmed production would go ahead. The main cast was Dick Van Dyke as Caractacus Potts, Sally Ann Howes as Truly Scrumptious, Adrian Hall as Jeremy, and Heather Ripley as Jemima, and Lionel Jeffrey as Grandpa Potts. We would also see other big stars of their day, including Benny Hill as the Toymaker, Robert Helpman as the Child Catcher, and even Barbara Windsor played a small role. The legendary songs were written by the musical genius of the Sherman Brothers, that being Robert and Richard Sherman, who wrote for many other classical musicals of the 1960s, including Mary Poppins and Bendels and Broomsticks. It was Ken Adams who was assigned to design the car for the film. There were a total of 6 Chitties made, but only one of which was roadworthy and fully functional. The fully functional original Chitty, as I call her, was bought at auction on the 15th of May 2011 by the legendary director Peter Jackson. Before she went to Peter Jackson, however, Chitty was owned by Pierre Picton. In the 1960s, he worked as a clown for a circus and performed with his car during his act. He had designed the car to fall apart piece by piece during his performance at the circus. He was spotted during one of the performances and was asked if they may use his car for one of the songs in the film, that song being Up From the Ashes.
Start the engines! Success! Batten the hatches! Success! Man the shrouds! Lift the anchor! Success!
He agreed and made it so the car would fall apart all at once. However, they also had him drive the Chitty to various locations. He fell in love with the car, and when he received a phone call in the early 1970s asking if he wanted to buy it, as it may be scrapped otherwise, He agreed without hesitation. From there, he would maintain Chitty almost every day and take her around the UK to events, steam rallies, schools, and even weddings. He sadly had to give her up in 2011 due to his old age, and sadly he could not maintain her in the way that she required. So Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was never a massive box office smash when it was released. In fact, in 1969, it lost the United Arts £8 million. Now that may be due to the fact that the film had an exceptionally high budget, especially for the 60s. So now we come to the part of the video where we've done a bit of the history. I just wanted to give an overall look at, who was involved, what happened to the car, the main car, after the filming. But there are a lot of good documentaries out there that can give you a lot more information. I have to do this in a certain amount of time, so I have to be like, yeah, quick. But there are a lot of good documentaries out there. One of them I recommend is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang Before They Were Famous. That's a very good one to learn about the production and the history of the production and what happened. But now let's get into the fact of why I think Chitty is one of the most brilliant musicals ever. The car itself is a masterpiece of design. It's absolutely gorgeous. What is nice about the car is that what you see is what you get. The main car, the fully functioning roadworthy car, weighed 2 tons. But it's an incredible feat when the brass fittings are taken from original Edwardian cars. It's a real aluminium polished bonnet, and its boat back is real red and white cedar wood. I think one of the things that was on the producer's mind, and indeed Ken Adams who designed the car, was the fact that if they didn't get the car right, the film very well could fail. And although it didn't earn as much as it could in the box office, it still was a success. I mean, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is beloved by all ages and all over the world. It's a film that can capture the imagination. It's a film that can go the extra mile to make it funny, to sing great songs that mean something. A film that means something is the way that I see Chitty. And I'll tell you what, they've gone to great details. There's a little fact about the number plate, which I'm going to let Pierre Picton tell you.
Number plate is Gen 11, and in Latin, Gen 11 is Geni, magical being. And that was bought by Ian Fleming, because Ian Fleming wrote the original book for children. Anyway, thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So, although 6 cars were originally made for the film, obviously one of them being the speedboat chassis that was placed underneath a replica of the car, but the effects are brilliant as well. With the car effects, they're fantastic. Every time I see that car blow up and suddenly the boat comes out from underneath, I literally I can't get over how good it is. These things that happen in the 1960s, when they make films like this, such as these sort of musicals, they did go all out, and the car represents how they went all out. And I think one of the other things that I find fascinating about it is the amount of practical effects they had to use to get this to work. Yes, back in the 60s, they used blue screen instead of green screen. But a lot of the effects work today, and actually, some of them are as good, especially if it's those straight-to-DVD stuff. Still way better effects than they have. And that's in 2020. So I would say the car, I just can't help but love that design. Ken Adams, you're a hero. So I think we should go on to the story. The story of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is rather simple when you think about it. It's basically a James Bond film for kids, which makes it even better. It's Ian Fleming all over. You've got the evil Baron Bombus wanting to take the car from the eccentric English inventor. who's invented this fantastic machine that can do all these magical things. And I love it as well because Caractacus fails in all of his attempts at inventing things, but he gets it right with Chitty. And I think it's because he wants to do right by his kids, and that forces him to really focus on making this old car that had been destroyed during a tragic accident in racing and turn it into this glorious machine that can do all these wonderful things. And I think that says a lot for the storytelling. So you've got the story of Truly Scrumptious and Caractacus Potts. You've got that romantic side of it. Caractacus Potts is a single dad. He's just trying to, raise his kids as best he can and be as good as he can and try to give them a good start in life. It's like when they run up to him in the show and they're like, Daddy, we didn't go to school today. And he's like, oh, well, it'll give the other kids a chance to warm up, won't it? Run along, children. Like, he's just an eccentric, great character. I love Caractacus. I think he was absolutely fantastically written. And I think the whole story as a whole is fantastic. Like, yes, when they're sat on the beach and they start telling the story of, Baron Bombus and the boat coming towards them to take away Chitty, the screen wobbles to indicate that it's a fantasy, but then at the end of the film, when you see Truly Scrumptious and Caractacus in the car starts to fly, indicating that, ooh, was it really a fantasy? And I like that. I think it's great. There's a lot of more, I think there's a lot more adult stuff you see as you're growing up in Chitty. Adult sort of theme, not in your face though, but it is there. It is there. It's just fantastically written. Ian Fleming obviously wrote the original book. Some of the screenplay was written by Roald Dahl. A lot of Roald Dahl's work was rewritten because it wasn't seen as, what they wanted to go for. But the one character they kept was the child catcher, and believe me, my old drama teacher used to be terrified of the child catcher because he is terrifying. But the guy was a professional ballerina, and he was so graceful with his movements, which is what made them want him to be the child catcher. His movements just seemed freaky because he was so smooth. So, the story, 10 out of 10. Let's move on to the next section, shall we? So the Sherman Brothers music is some of the greatest in musical theatre, in my opinion. Sorry, Andrew Lloyd Webber. Don't sue me. But they really were fantastic. Their songs are so catchy, and they are designed to stick in your head. The main song of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is obviously the song, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, shocker. But when you say there's a trick to it, you don't say chitty chitty, because it becomes a tongue twister. If you try to say chitty chitty bang that fast, it becomes impossible. So it's chitty chitty. And it's little tricks like that they use, just little phrases like chitty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang. It works doing it that way. And they were fantastic. Their music is so catchy, it stays in your head, it's got passion behind it. Hushabye Mountain is such a beautifully written song. And obviously Truly Scrumptious. And the main theme song, all of it. The music in Chitty is surpassed by none. That beginning racing scene with that tune coming in and that amazing, it fills me with joy every time I hear it. And I think they were just geniuses. They did with Chitty what they did with Mary Poppins. They kept their songs simple enough that you could just sing them whenever. They were simple, they were elegant, they were well written. They're great songs just to listen to, just if you want to pick me up. They were geniuses of musical theatre. The Sherman Brothers, I don't think we'll see a pair like them, and it's no wonder that in 2002, when the stage production was going to be debuted, well, it happened sort of 2000, 2002, the production time, but, I'm just going when it was officially launched at West End. When they did it at West End, they got them back to write more songs for the show, and they couldn't have picked a better pair to do it. They really couldn't, and they wanted to do it. Chitty was a project they felt very passionate about, and it's just great in that respect. Fantastic. Fun fact: Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the prop in the theatre production, was actually most expensive single stage prop in history. But it's, yeah, back to the music. I love the music. Next bit. Bang Bang is also full of tradition, and I love it when musicals have traditions surrounding it. Giving some good examples, the Old Bamboo song was written by Robert Sherman, and he got the idea because when he came over to Britain during the war, he had shrapnel in his leg, and they gave him a piece of bamboo to help prop him up. Also, the Old Bamboo song is actually based, the dancing and choreography is based on traditional English Morris dancing. Which, again, it's just nice to have a bit of history in these fantasy musicals. It's great. It's great, and it's something that I don't think enough do, really. I like to have these little bits of information, like real historical stuff being placed in these great phantasmagorical musicals. And obviously it shows what it was like, such as the old production of The Sweet Factory, although it wouldn't have been quite as clean as that. But it gives you these little tidbits, and I love that. I love that. Chitty herself has original brass fittings from Edwardian cars, and in fact the boat back of Chitty was chosen basically because many Edwardian cars did have original boat backs for the seats and everything. It's just great. It's great. Even with this train. Look at that train. Great Western Railway. It's lovely. Stunning. Love it. I suppose I better wrap this up and give my synopsis of why I love Chitty so much. To me, inspired me to do musical theatre. It inspired me to study for 2 years in college, and it inspires me now. If I'm having a bad day, that's my go-to movie. If I'm having a bad day and I haven't got a DVD player or anything, I'll listen to it on my MP3. I've got all the songs. And yes, I have an MP3 player in 2020. Deal with it. And I think I just love it. Everything about it. The acting, the actors, the songs, the car, the sets, the locations, the history, the beautiful, beautiful effects, the practical effects. The baddie, Mr. Baron Bombburst, with his bloody eccentric castle and in a far-off land. I love it all. There's nothing about this film I don't actually like, and that's very rare for me. So I would say if you have not seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, to watch it, it's a must-watch. It's one of the greatest achievements of 1960s musicals. I love it to pieces, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And I would just like to say, you may see this video in History Corner, the playlist History Corner on the channel. There's a reason for that, because I think it has quite a bit of history to it. There is quite a bit of history into it. It's based all on the 60s. It's with the same crew that did the James Bond films. You can call it production history, but just deal with it. It's going to go in History Corner. I've made my decision. I was originally going to go in Opinion Corner, but no, history. So I hope you liked the video. Keep positive, stay calm, carry on, and I shall see you in the next video. Tatty tatty bye, toodaloo.